Hey pillars, and welcome back to another cycling video. In this video I'll be explaining why I upgraded my stock rims to an upgraded wheel set and just do a comparison between stock rims and upgraded rims. What are the differences and why might a rider actually decide to do this? So I'll explain why I did, and hopefully you learn some information as to why someone or a rider would upgrade their stock rims. So let's jump right into it. Now, the last time I was riding stock rims was back in 2020 when I purchased a brand new bike. I had less than 1,000 kilometers ridden on them and I was 68 kilograms at the time, so not a heavy rider, and unfortunately spokes started to break and the warranty with Giant was just terrible in Canada. So they were under warranty when, I had less than 1,000 kilometers and it was a brand new bike, so they wouldn't warranty the wheel properly. So basically I was in this limbo of having to put back my racing wheels, which were carbon rims, on my bike, and I just didn't have a training wheel set. And the whole point when I bought this bike, instead of building up a frame, was I wanted a wheel set just for training and a wheel set just for racing. So unfortunately this aluminum stock rim just failed and I was out of a wheel set. Now, from my experience in the cycling industry, you would usually upgrade a stock rim set if it's because of mechanical issues like I had, or performance issues. And when I say performance issues, you might be getting into faster criteriums, faster group rides, or faster racing, and an aluminum stock wheel set just won't do the job in terms of performance. Now, the stock rims that came on my Giant TCR is called the Giant PR2 wheel set, and they are tubeless ready, and this wheel set usually comes on mid-range Giant road bikes, and to purchase this secondhand is 160 USD, and the wheel set for this rim is around 1,998 grams, so basically 2,000 grams. So I would say it's a pretty heavy wheel set, but like I said, I was going to use this wheel set primarily as my beater wheel set, my training wheel set, so I didn't really care, and it obviously came on the bike when I purchased it, so I thought it was a win-win because I already had carbon racing wheel set rims, so I didn't really care too much about the weight, but it was a heavy wheel set. Now, my overall experience riding on these rims was that they performed well enough for a training wheel set. I would never choose these as my main wheel set if I was doing low-level racing, as they are pretty heavy and just sluggish feeling, and what I mean by that is just to accelerate, it felt very slow. Cornering and descending and sprinting just felt slow. Just for an aluminum wheel set, because of how heavy they were, they did feel sluggish. So in an unfortunate, weird way, I was kind of happy that they broke. Now, I wasn't happy that they weren't warranted, as usually they should be under a bike brand, but it basically forced me to upgrade and get a training set, which is the whole point of this video, is why I upgraded my stock rims. But in that limbo and awkward period, I had to use my carbon wheel set as my training rim, which, if any of you watching race, that's the last thing you really want to do. So unfortunately I had to roll with my carbon rims, but eventually I was going to get aluminum upgraded wheel set that would be my training and everyday wheel set. Now, when it came to upgrading my stock wheel set, I knew I wanted a wheel set that not only could do everyday training and group rides, but still hold up for low level racing, including criteriums. So I wanted something that obviously wasn't top tier, that I would actually even consider racing on, A grade races, but I wanted something that if I pulled up to a fast group ride or if I pulled up to the local crit, I'd be able to compete on them, because I didn't always want to be swapping out carbon versus aluminum. I just want to be able to ride something every day, and if I want to do some B tier racing, that'd be totally fine. So the following criteria I had for these upgraded training wheel set was basically it had to be lighter than 2,000 grams for the pair. So usually when it comes to the definition of what is considered a light wheel set, I would say it hovers around lower than 1,400 grams. Usually in the cycling industry, wheels will be, common wheels will be 1,400 grams to 2,000 grams. So I wanted something to hover around the low 1,400, because then again, I didn't want to spend a lot of money too, because I had a carbon wheel set that was my racing wheel set. So I just needed something to get the job done. Now, they needed to be tubeless ready, because I did enjoy my time on tubeless. They had to be good for climbing and ascending, because at the time I was moving abroad to a mountainous region. So obviously climbing above 6%, the wheel and the weight of that is going to play a role, where I feel like when I had these stock rims in Canada, in Toronto where I'm from, I was able to get away, at 3-4%. The sluggish of the wheel didn't matter that much, and obviously fitness plays a bigger role, but when you start getting into 7-8%, having a 2,000 gram wheel versus 1,400 is a big difference, and I'm not a weight weenie, but I gotta state the facts. Now, aluminum was important for me as well for upgrading this training wheel set because I wanted something robust and I was traveling, so I didn't want something that was very, very fragile, and I wanted something that was gonna be, obviously when we talk about the price, gonna be fair, because I know if this was gonna be in the carbon section, it's gonna be more expensive. So I wanted a fair price and I was not willing to spend anything more than 1,000 USD. So basically that's kind of my criteria at the time of what I was looking for this upgrade. Since bike shops had no inventory at the time and I didn't have time to wait because I was leaving pretty soon, I went straight to the local marketplace on Facebook and I put a post up saying that I needed a wheel set. And after a month of going through prospects, I finally got a message about a wheel set that really piqued my interest, and that was the Mavic Kaisrium Pro UST from 2018. And the price I was able to negotiate down to around 478 USD, which was very fair for what I was getting. From the pictures that were sent, I could tell that the rim track wasn't too worn. Then again, you should always verify in person, but on paper, the wheel set was hitting all my key points and I was very, very excited. But I had to go through a lot of prospects because a lot of people were sending me stuff that looked good, but when I would ask them for better pictures of the brake track, then, things kind of threw me off. And I wanted something that was, obviously going to be a fair price, but I didn't want something so old like 2014, 2013. So I was very excited. So when I had some more information regarding the wheel set, I took a look at the wheel set specs, and they were specifically designed for endurance riding, which is great for training or for B events. So this is basically what I got from the Mavic website in terms of what they claimed this wheel set was for. The claim weight on the wheel set is 1,400 grams, which is lighter than 2,000 grams. So on climbs, weight savings will definitely be felt, but I am no way a weight weenie. I always think the gains can be made from your fitness. Now, they were tubeless ready. I didn't know whether or not I would run them tubeless. Currently, right now, I'm running them with tube because I had some problems with tubeless, but I don't blame the wheel set for that. I blame the actual tires, but they were very robust in terms of construction, and the price was right on the money. So before moving, I picked up the wheel set. And tips for anyone buying rims secondhand is always check, I'll get my rims right here, the braking surface, which is right here. Now, I know this is dedicated for, rim brake bikes, but you should always do a very thorough look, because when you're buying secondhand, there could be nicks on the braking track or even near this part of the rim all the way around. So you always just want to be as detailed and as thorough as possible, because that can avoid, problems. I know situations where riders have bought, damaged rims that should have just been warranty rims, but somehow they still got their hands on it. So always be on the lookout. Now, feel free to skip ahead this section if you're not buying a secondhand wheel anytime soon, but I made a detailed list of things that I really want to preach in terms of how to buy a wheel secondhand. So examine the wear on the axles and the bearings to see if there's any play. Obviously, this is a rough verification, as the only way to truly see the wear is to unpack the axles and to see the bearings. But in general, I think it's a very good thing to do. Spin the rim. So basically take the rim and just spin it and see if the wheel spins straight, which means true. If it's not wobbling all over the place, along with feeling the spoke tension and ensuring that there's no spokes that are loose. That's one thing I didn't do actually when I checked this wheel set without the tires on them. So, it can get very detailed, and if you're spending top dollar, like I would get so detailed about taking off the rim or taking off the tire off the rim. And in this situation, this was set up tubeless. So usually buying secondhand, you hope that people have good intentions and the wheels are checked out properly and they know that they're not selling something that's damaged. But like I said, I've always heard horror stories being in the cycling industry. Now, sometimes, like I said before, the wheels can be damaged near the braking track and there's a tire on it. You can actually miss it. So if I'm being sold this tire, this rim with a tire on it, you can sometimes have hidden damage. So, in my situation, this was because the tires were set up tubeless. He probably wouldn't sell them and deflate them and clean them. So I had to examine the best that I could. Now, it's very important that you even check the compatibility of the wheel set, because I've had horror stories working in the cycling industry. Riders come to the shop and they say, look at this good deal I got on this 10-speed component, and unfortunately it's not 11-speed compatible, so you wasted all this money and then you're left trying to sell it. I'm just putting my wheel down right now. So basically, you just want to try your best to get a sense of the person selling it, making sure that it checks out when you're in person, and just, depending on how they talk about the product too, I think that also plays a big role in terms of how confident you are in purchasing it, because if they're kind of looking away or kind of sketched out, then there might be something wrong with the wheel. But that was just a very quick rundown of some things and some key things I think you should look forward to when purchasing a wheel set secondhand. Now, I've had the ability to test these new Mavic rims in the country of Georgia, which is a very mountainous region, along with training with the Georgia national team. I'll be doing a way more detailed review on these rims, so stay tuned for that. But in general, compared to stock rims, this is what I felt. I immediately felt better climbing, descending, and fast-paced lines. It felt a lot easier to accelerate, and I think that plays into the fact that they're a lot lighter. 600 grams does make a difference, but in general, I just felt that the connection and feedback I had to the road was a great improvement. Now, granted, I know tires play a big role in that, but in general, it was a huge upgrade. And lastly, for the amount of traveling I've been doing, they've held up very, very good. No broken spokes. Even being a heavier rider, I gained about like 90 pounds. I made a video just recently on my channel where I talked about the weight gain, but I gained 90 pounds. And if the stock rims were breaking at 68 kilograms, and then I gained, and I'm 110 riding upgraded rims, I don't even know how many spokes I would have broke on the stock rims, because if I was so light and they were breaking, I can only imagine being heavier. So I also think in terms of the main reason of upgrading a stock wheel set is just they hold up a lot better and the acceleration is huge and you actually feel it. Now, my final thoughts to close out this video is that having worked in the cycling industry, I would say that stock rims are usually a hit or miss, especially if you're riding 350 kilometers per week or more. So in general, you should always be aware that in the back of your mind, you're going to have to upgrade the wheel set in the not so distant future. But I want to make it very clear that a stock wheel set will get you going, especially if it comes on a complete bike that you usually built. It should, in theory, last the initial season, and then an upgrade for the next season is fine. But if you're not riding a lot, if you're only riding 100 kilometers a week, then a stock rim should last you, especially if you're not a heavy rider. Then breaking spokes shouldn't happen. So that's usually where I think of it. But unfortunately, in my situation, the rim was just, terrible. So I think it is brand specific. In my opinion, I would hope that Giant has fixed their situation with the PR2s. Hopefully they're better going forward. But I used to be very anti-upgrading stock rims because I'm like, if you're buying a bike complete, they should at least hold up for, 2 seasons at the minimum. But I am a strong believer now that if you are going to buy a complete bike, then upgrading the rims is probably one of the first things you should do. But also, I do believe that companies should also slightly increase the price, because I'd rather just buy a bike, or I would say for most cyclists, most new cyclists, they want to buy a bike complete, ride it for a season or two, and then upgrade. So I think if it really comes down to spending an extra $200, but having a wheel set that doesn't break, then I think everyone would be down for that. Then getting this amazing price, but then you have to spend an additional 500 USD for a good wheel set. So that's basically my thoughts. Feel free to subscribe and be on the lookout for a more in-depth review of this new wheel set. I really want to put it through its paces. I've already done it in Georgia, but I want to keep doing it. If you found value or learned anything from this video, then drop a like. And until the next one, keep on pedaling.